The story of the evening is an unbelievable hockey game, an unbelievable hockey tournament, and the NHL on display in a manner in which no other professional sport has been able to accomplish. I mean, that's just a fact. Now, it's not the same as the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. That is that spectacle. We all understand that. Not as many eyes or the love for it in this country as football is king. But the idea of taking time out of your season to put on a display of your sport with the finest players that you have and to get the buy-in that they got from all of the best players in the league to put on a tournament that the entire country of the United States and the entire country of Canada, as well as Finland and Sweden, but 4 countries, specifically as we're talking about last night, Canada, the United States, all got behind. And last night was the premier sporting event that we had to offer as we watch the Knicks, and we'll get to the Knicks, but ultimately the Knicks are the secondary story to the United States playing Canada last night, and it was just an absolute display of the best hockey that is being possibly played in the world. And to me, that's the story. We could talk about Canada winning. We could talk about what it means for international hockey. We could talk about the idea that Connor McDavid's the greatest player in the world, and Binghamton in that overtime and how great he was. And all of that's true, and the game was an absolute pleasure to watch. And we could talk about the national anthem, and we could talk about the worst Canadian national anthem I've ever heard. Bless her heart, not trying to get on her, but that was and I love the national. I'll be totally honest. I think the Canadian national anthem is a fine song and one of the better anthems out there. She did a terrible job with it, but that's okay. But the booing, it was minimal. It wasn't as severe as it was obviously in Montreal for the United States national anthem. But all the spectacle that was last night, to me, the true winner is not Canada. It's not those players. It's the NHL. That is the clear-cut winner, as we got news today that Major League Baseball is no longer going to be a part of ESPN, that they're backing out of their deal, right? We're in a down period, no football, and coming off an ugly Super Bowl, coming off a season that here in New York specifically, in Philadelphia it might be a great season, but I don't know if it was necessarily a great year of football, and the Super Bowl was a dud, and we've got baseball coming, but we haven't started that yet. Baseball announces they're not going to be on ESPN anymore. They're going to have to figure out where they're going to play a lot of their national games, and right there for the world to see as the NBA is getting bashed last weekend, the NHL gave you what we are unable to get with any other sport. That was the finest players in the world, playing as good a brand of hockey as I've ever seen. Plain and simple. That's what it was. And to me, as we watch the ceremony after, I'm not trying to knock it. I'm not trying to tell you that those medals that they put around the Canadian players' necks are meaningless, because it means something to them, although it means nothing to me. And that trophy and the ceremony and replaying the Canadian national anthem, all of that was wonderful. I'm happy for them. Great, grand, wonderful. The idea is this was as good a brand of hockey as we have ever seen. And for me, maybe in years to come, because we've had this discussion a lot about the NHL and whether or not it should be more prominent in this country. And even the discussion we had last night around PK Subban's rant about the NHL player and the buy-in that they give on a nightly basis and the product the NHL puts out and the toughness of NHL players and the ability to take the pounding they do for an 82-game schedule, and we should respect it more, and how they battle through injury and everything about the product that is the NHL and what a quality game it is. It's my favorite sport to go to live in comparison to what it is on TV. I think you get more out of going to a hockey game as opposed to watching it on TV than any other sport. All of that rolled into one, watching the best players in the world play their freaking hearts out. To me, that's the victory. And I'll be totally honest with you. And this is another thing. I am an American, clearly. How are you? Chris McMonigle here. American. I was rooting for the United States in this game. But I will be totally honest with you. And this is how I feel about it. This is how I felt about the tournament. We'll get into some of the other things that I feel about this tournament as well. But I'm not even kidding. And this is how I feel about it, because this was about hockey to me and not about Canada and the United States. We could talk about the national anthem and the political overtones and all of that. This was about the sport of hockey and the quality of hockey we got and the anticipation for this game. I am glad that Canada won a 3-2 overtime thrilling victory with an incredible second period, an incredible overtime, some of the best hockey I've ever seen. I am so glad we got this game and a loss, as opposed to if I was watching in the first period and it was 4-1 United States and 6-1 after 2. Who the hell would want that? Like, honestly, if you're being honest with yourself, and this is part of my problem with the tournament in general and how we discuss it and how even the players feel about it. I'll be totally honest with you. And we'll discuss how the players feel about it. And I can't tell you they're wrong because that's their own personal feelings, but I might disagree with it on how important this game was to them. But as an American, as all the national pride that has been built up with this and upset about the national anthem booing and everything that's going on in this country and Canada and everything, I am happier now having watched a great game that the United States lost than I would have been in a blowout that the United States won. Because this isn't about that to me. It really isn't. This was a manifestation of an idea of the NHL to get buy-in from their players to play in a tournament. And it could have had USA on the front for me. It could have had anything else on the front of the jersey for me. All I needed was the buy-in and the great hockey. And that's what we got. And so to me, last night was a rousing success in no matter how you want to put it. And it's far better. And I'm so glad we got that game as opposed to a blowout that the United States won. Because, they can never beat Canada. This isn't an international tournament. This is the NHL product trying to give you a great product to promote their sport. That's all this is, and that's all it was. And it was a smashing success. And I wonder if other leagues are going to try and copy it. And I can't tell you how much fun it was watching this game and what a product the NHL put forward and how talented their superstars are. And this is it leaves you longing and it makes you angrier about the NBA product. Because I believe that the NBA players are just as talented and just as capable of providing this kind of night and this kind of game if they were so inclined. Same thing with MLB. Same thing with obviously the National Football League. But the NHL has figured out a way to get it done. And watching all of the great players, watching Binnington play in that overtime, and how dynamic he was. Watching some of the greats in the game. Connor McDavid. I mean, it was an absolute incredible display of hockey. It's as good a hockey game as I've ever seen. It's fast-paced. It was hard-hitting. And the ability of every player on the ice oozes through the television screen. Absolutely oozes through the screen. And to me, it's more about what a night for the NHL. And again, on the night where ESPN and MLB break up. And after this year, there's no Sunday Night Baseball anymore. There's no more. They're unhappy with the coverage MLB is getting. And right now you're looking at the NBA and the NHL and the NFL providing games on ESPN. And maybe this is a moment where the NHL finally starts to gain traction. Because I don't know a single person. I'm talking to my buddies. We don't talk about hockey all that much. I have hockey fans that I talk to. I have a group chat with about 8 of us that we grew up with and went to high school with, and we talk about all different kinds of stuff. And very rarely is it hockey. It's been hockey the last 3 days. That's what this is about. That's the success of this. And they also didn't need 3 fights in the first 9 seconds to make it compelling. Who knew? But this was a rousing success for the NHL.